Hello, Cricuters, and welcome to Cricketing with Delonda. It's me again, Delonda, and thank you so much for joining me today. In today's tutorial, I will be showing you how to make a photo puzzle just in time for Valentine's Day. Now, although I didn't use a picture of my husband and I used a picture of my two daughters and I, this is still a nice project that you could do for you and someone that you love, or you could do, one for your teenagers, or the possibilities are endless. Let me say this. Thank God, thank goodness, thank whomever for the magic of video editing, because this project has taken me much longer than I anticipated. And to be honest, it almost led to hammer time. However, I'm going to show you my mistakes and the pitfalls to avoid while doing this project, so you don't have to have any of those same issues. Now, this is the finished product and I'm in love with it. I absolutely love how it turned out. I'm very proud of it. It was definitely a labor of love, and heavy on the word labor. Okay, let me show you some of the mistakes very quickly. So I cut this project, I think I cut it actually 3 times. I even had to stop in the middle of the project to calibrate my knife blade. I have never calibrated my knife blade before. I learned how to do it tonight, and I'm going to show you that in this tutorial. So I highly suggest you stick around for that part. This is what my first cut looked like. And I don't know if you can see, but the picture was ripping up. It was just not doing well. I used the regular printable sticker paper that I always reference in all of my materials when I'm doing print and cut, but that paper is very thin and it does rip easily, especially while using the knife blade. So hopefully you can see all those cut lines. And I actually stopped this one in the middle because I knew I could not continue, and I knew I wouldn't have a good end result. That was the first cut. The second cut, I decided that I would try to put a sheet of cardstock on top of the picture to avoid getting all those cuts. Well, the cardstock started ripping up in the middle, and I had to stop my machine, remove the cardstock from the top of the puzzle and from the machine, and then I thought about putting the Oracal transparent vinyl on top. Now, the first time I tried to do it, I don't know if you can see it, but I got a lot of wrinkles and bubbles, and it was just a second disaster. So the third time, my third time was a charm. I ended up using the parchment paper hack that I showed when I did layering on my daughter's bowl. And so what I did was, and you'll get a chance to see it, but I suggest you stick around for that part. Okay, so I've made all the mistakes, so you don't have to. Okay, so without further ado, let's look at the materials. Let's head on over to Cricut Design Space. After that, while in the midst of that, I will show you some of my errors that I made, so you don't end up making those same mistakes. And then you will see how I ended up getting to a perfect cut. All right, let's get started. Okay, the materials that I'm going to use for this project include, I'll be connected to my Cricut Maker. I'll use the knife blade, it's the one that looks like this. I'll also need the regular fine point blade. I'm using E6000 adhesive spray, Oracal transparent vinyl, 651. I'm going to use parchment paper to do the layering hack that I showed you in a previous tutorial. I'm using masking tape, Ava vinyl sticker paper, my extra large Cricut scraper, my black fine point Cricut pen. I used my True Control knife a few times. You don't necessarily have to have it. I'm using 1.5 millimeter Cricut chipboard, my green standard grip mat, and a purple HTV Ront strong grip mat. Okay, so without further ado, let's head on over to Cricut Design Space. I am in Cricut Design Space and I'm connected to my Cricut Maker. Okay, the first thing that I suggest you do after you gather your materials is to open Cricut Design Space and click on this little tab over here that says Projects. I'm going to click on Projects, and the top search bar right here, I typed puzzle. Okay, So there are 5 different options, and as you can see, all of these are Cricut Access options, so that these are for Cricut Access members. I do know that this puzzle that I chose is not free if you are not a Cricut Access member. I will leave a link below for you to check out Cricut Access. I do know they have a 30-day free trial. Okay, so there are directions for making this puzzle the way they have it. However, I did not follow these directions because I knew I wanted my puzzle to be bigger, and I knew that I wanted to just change up some of the options, okay? Because I was adding a photo and I wanted to do it in a different way. I wanted to be sure my photo was going to be placed in the exact right place, okay? So I'm going to click Customize. However, if you want to do it exactly how they have it, you are welcome to do that. Just print the directions and follow along with it. Okay, so I'm just going to come in. All right, so now I have my puzzle, and I can see that it's grouped. How do I know it's grouped? Because I have the option to ungroup it. Okay, I'm going to bring the view down on my screen to 50%. Okay, because I'm going to have multiple things on my screen at one time. And if you've been with me for any length of time, you know that I like to be able to see everything on my screen. Okay, so now I have my puzzle template. The next thing I'm going to do is grab a shape from the Shapes tool. I'm going to grab a rectangle. What I'm going to do with the rectangle is unlock it, and I'm going to resize it to 9.25 for the width, and the height is going to be 6.75. The reason why I'm doing that is because this is still considered as a print then cut project, and I want to make the most of my available space. Okay, so and I know that 9.25 by 6.75 is the largest that Cricut Design Space allows. Okay, so now I'm going to click on my rectangle and I'm going to arrange it so that it stays in the back. I'm going to take my puzzle and I'm going to put it on top of the rectangle. And then I'm just going to bring it up to the top and just kind of resize it because I want to make it big and I want to, fill up the space. I don't want it to look awkward, so I'm just going to be very careful about it. Now, when I made my photo puzzle, I sized it at 7.786 by 6.393. Okay. Let me make sure I did that right. Okay, let me unlock it. 6.393 did not take. Okay. All right. And let me type that on the screen in case you could not see the numbers. 7.786 for the width, and the height is 6.393. Okay. So that's the size that my puzzle template, that's the size that I made mine. And hopefully you can see when I did that, it made the puzzle pieces bigger, and I'm fine with that. Okay, so this is the size. All right, so after I resized my template, the next thing I did was I grabbed a photo that I want to use. I'm going to remove this. Hopefully you've taken a screenshot of you, or you've written it down, or you've looked in the video description below. This will also be included in the video in the description box below the video. Okay, I'm going to remove this for now. I'm going to go to upload, and I already have some images. I already have the image that I wanted to use. I'm going to use the photo that I showed you in the introduction of me and my daughters. Okay, so it's this one right here. It's taking a while to load, but I know it's the right photo. It's going to come in really big. I just resized it to 10.0 and I hit enter. Okay, so now remember, now the view on my screen, I'm looking at the bottom left of my screen. Right now the view is at 50%. I'm going to just bring this puzzle down and move this rectangle over. And to be honest, I'm finished with this rectangle for now. I really don't need it anymore. It was just to help me get the sizing. Okay, so now what I'm going to do is take this puzzle and I'm going to ungroup it, because I'm going to move this piece out of the way. This, I'm not changing the size of it. It should still, and it doesn't look like it's at the right size, but I'm going to make sure it is. This should be at what? 7.786 and 6.393. Let me unlock it because it is not cooperating. Okay, and perfect. Okay, so these should always be at the right same size. So now I'm going to take my heart template, I'm going to arrange and send it to the front, and I'm going to put it on top of the photo. And then I'm not going to resize the heart. The heart is at the right size already. I'm going to select the heart. Oh, let me cancel that. Before I do that, I'm going to duplicate this heart. Let me duplicate the heart. So I have one over here and I have one over here. Okay, so I'm going to put it back on top of my photo. And I think that, all of our faces are covered. It's good. I'm going to select the photo and the heart, and I'm going to slice it. Okay. And now I have our photo in the shape of a heart, and it's the same exact size as the puzzle template. So now with this, I'm finished with this piece here. What I'm going to do with this heart right here that I'm clicking on and I'm hovering over, it is right now considered as a basic cut. I am going to change this to a pen. Okay, and the pen automatically defaults to black. What I'm going to do now is put this pen on top of this heart, the puzzle heart template. Okay, I want to make sure that the pen is on top. Let me make sure the pen is on the top. Perfect. I'm going to take the whole thing, the pen and the heart template, and I am going to align it. I'm just going to align it to the top so that it's perfectly lined up. Okay, it looks like my template moved again, and I want to make sure I'm going to unlock it and make sure that it's on 7.786 and that it stays there. Okay, now that it's locked, I have my pen template. This is my pen template. Let me move it again so you can see it. I don't know if you can see it very well, but this is my pen template. I'm going to put it on top, and I'm going to align it to the top. Select both pieces, click align, align top. Okay, doesn't look like it is aligned. Let me click align center and make sure, because it has to be there we go, align center. Once I have it aligned and centered, I am going to attach it. Okay, so now I have 3 things to cut out. I have my heart template, I have my photo, and I have the base layer of the puzzle. Okay, and I have everything I need. So I should have 3 mats. When I click make it, it should take me to the next screen, and I should have 3 mats. But before I do that, I'm going to save this as, I'm going to call this Love Puzzle, because I love them and they love me. Okay, and I'm going to click make it. Okay, so I have my first mat, which is print then cut. I have my second mat, which is that bottom layer, and I have my third mat, which is my puzzle template. Now look at my third mat. It says pen and basic cut, because remember, I have that top layer is set to pen, and I'm going to show you how to do that. Okay, sometimes you have to trick the machine just a little bit. Now I'm not going to actually print this because I've already printed it, but I'm going to show you what the process looks like. I'm going to click continue. Okay, and I can click send to printer, but I'm not going to print it. It's set to my Canon MX470. I always keep the add bleed on. This doesn't look right, but I promise you it prints right. And then I turn on the use system dialog, and that will bring up your printer settings. I'm not going to go through all of that like I explained, because I've already printed mine, and I'll show you what that looks like. Okay, so I'm going to click X. I'm going to click I've already printed. The printer option that I choose, that I always choose, is the one that is called Card Stock for Intricate Cuts. I like that option because it goes around the design twice, and it pretty much does all the hard work for you. Okay, so I can click done, and I can, load it into my machine and get that cut. The next thing that I'm going to do, I'm going to pretend like I've already done all of that. So now I'm going to go to my next layer. My next layer is the bottom layer. And I actually did not cut mine in this order, but I'm just showing you my process before I do everything else back on the camera. I moved my heart template down, and then I just, I'm going to click done. I'm going to change my materials because I'm cutting the one that's called chipboard 1.5 millimeters. I want to click done. It will tell you move your star wheels all the way to the right. Make sure material is no wider than 11 inches and is secured to a strong grip mat using masking tape on all four sides. I'll show you what all of that looks like. Then on this one, okay, I'm going to go to edit so you can see what that looks like also. All right. With this one, I moved it down also. I moved it, I think, to right here because I wanted it to be in the middle of the mat, and I wanted to make sure that it was away from all of the taping that I was doing, and I'm so glad that I moved it the way that I did. Okay. All right. So I'm going to click done, and everything that I'll do from here will be back on the camera. To prepare for my first cut, the first thing I'm going to do is move my star wheels all the way over to the right. So these white wheels that are on the, I don't even know what this is called. I'll call it a bar. These white wheels need to be moved all the way over so that they're not rolling across the chipboard. So I'm going to move these all the way over. And if you haven't ever moved yours, they might be a little bit tight. So just kind of, you know, squeeze them and then pull them over. The next thing I'll do is insert my knife blade. I don't know if this helps you see it, but hopefully it does. I'm using my Cricut Maker and my knife blade. It goes right here in this slot. Okay. I'm not going to put anything in my pen slot. I have a purple HTV Ront mat. I'm trying this out and we will see how it goes. You will need a strong grip mat. And I am going to try that one. I am going to put my chipboard on my mat just right here at the corners. I always just like to start at the corners. That's just me. You don't have to do it this way. Move it over a little bit though. So I want to make sure it's straight. Okay. And then I'm just going to, hopefully you can see that I have it at the one, just right at the 1 axis. I normally go to the 1 and 1 axis, but I'm just going to start here down at just 1 inch down. And then I'm just going to take masking tape and tape it all the way down, all the way across. So I'm just taping it down like that. Let me close this for a second. Taping it down here. Okay, so I have it taped down. None of my tape is hanging off of the mat. It is completely on the mat. And so, you know, you don't want any overlap or anything going off the mat. Everything is just taped down. I'm just using one piece of tape. If you have blue painter's tape, or you can use that. I don't have any, and I've already had good results by using just masking tape, and that's what I'm going to use. And we will see. So I'm going to open my machine. I'm going to get my mat loaded in there. Okay. And I am going to choose my material, and which is the chipboard. Now I will click the flashing C, and let's see what it's going to do. When I removed this heart from the mat, I received a notification that calibration was recommended. I was instructed to get a sheet of printer paper and put it on a mat, leave the knife blade inserted. So that's what I am going to do. And since I'm having to do it while I'm doing a tutorial, you will do what? Learn today. So let's see what's next. It says place a printer paper on top, and let me click continue. Load mat, press the flashing go, press go. And I have never done a knife calibration before, so this will be interesting. So let's see. I'll speed this part up. I'm not sure how long this takes. I've never done this before. So during this calibration process, now I was being instructed to remove the mat from the machine, take it out, count down the lines. I see there are 7 cuts on that paper. I turned on my light because I realized it was too dark for you to get a good view of the lines. There are 7 lines, and from my view, the bottom line, or the 7th line, had the most overlap, or the best overlap. So it was the most perfect cut. So after I determined that, I just had to choose that number 7 on the machine and then continue with the rest of the project. So calibration for the knife blade doesn't take long at all. Now that I have my picture printed out, I have it loaded on a green mat. It is going to do a print then cut on the cardstock for intricate cut setting. I have my next piece of chipboard loaded onto my mat, and I want you to really pay attention to what I've done here. Now I have it on my mat taped down the same way that I did with the first one, but what I'm going to do differently is I'm going to let my Cricut pen draw the heart, so I'll know exactly where to put the picture. Okay, so I'm gonna go ahead and do that. I'm gonna get my mat loaded. Remember, I set this to pen and cut. So I'm gonna go ahead and insert my black pen right here. And the first thing that my project will do is draw the heart. So I've moved the heart down and over so that it's here in the middle, so that when I'm getting ready to place it down, I won't have an issue. So I'm gonna press the flashing C. Now I'm going to unload it, and I'm going to take the heart from the sheet, from this sheet, and place it in the right spot. Okay, so let me get it removed from here. Remember, this is just a sticker. I'm removing it from here. And I will get it placed down here. So that pen option, it was just to help me with placement. That was the only purpose of it. And I would definitely say be careful here. You know, you want it to be aligned just right. Okay. So now I have it aligned. I'm gonna load my mat back in. And there might be another way, it might be a better way, there might be an easier way, but this is the way that I found that works for me. So I'm finished with my pen. I'm going to go ahead and take it out just in case it tries to go around it again. I'm gonna click my flashing C. Okay, I'm starting again because this paper is just ripped too much, and I don't think it'll have a good end result. So I have printed the photo again. I've already cut it, and now I'm going to send this through my maker again to draw the heart. I've already moved it down, and we will try it again. I'm going to try a hack that my daughter suggested. This was my second attempt. My daughter suggested putting a piece of paper or cardstock on top of the photo to avoid all those cuts and to avoid the photo paper getting cut. And I gave the good old college try, but it did not work. You'll see here very shortly. Okay, as you can see, the cardstock idea did not work. So what I've done is cut a piece of the Oracal transparent vinyl, and I'm going to try to put that on top and see if that works. Trying the Oracal, I thought it would be a good idea, but it was so hard to get it on there, and it just started to have bubbles and wrinkles, and this was just a disaster. But I just put it down as good as I could, and then I just wanted to see if it would cut. This was the third time. I was getting very frustrated, and my fingers, toes, eyes, and everything else were crossed at this point because I was almost ready to quit. Called in reinforcements. My daughter helped me hold the parchment paper and get the Oracal placed on top. It started to cut, and it was smooth sailing from here. Look at it really good and double check underneath to make sure that it actually went through. I'm concerned that it didn't because of the Oracal. Yeah, I don't think it went out. Oh, well, it did. Look at that. It did go through. OMG. It did go through. But, oh, am I sure? It did. I'm going to go ahead and unload it, and I am going to take a good look at it. I can see, look at how cute this is. OMG. I am going to get this unloaded from the mat, and I'm going to show you how I'm going to glue this part down to the bottom layer, to this first layer that we cut out earlier. Okay, I'll get that ready. So what I did was shook up the E6000 adhesive spray. I put a piece of white cardstock behind the rim of the puzzle, sprayed it lightly, and then placed it on top of the backing. And then I just let it dry for about 5 minutes or so. And I put something heavy on top of it. Okay, so the E6000 worked perfectly. So my puzzle is completely glued together. I let it sit for about 5 minutes. Now I'm just going to start to put the pieces together. Put the puzzle together. And I will definitely speed this part up because I don't want to bore you with my unpuzzle-like behavior. This is the finished product, and what am I going to say? I love it. I absolutely love it. And even though this project took much longer than I anticipated or longer than I wanted to, I'm still pleased with the final result. If you found this tutorial helpful, please consider hitting that like button, hitting the subscribe button, and turning on the bell for notifications because I do upload new content every single week without fail. All right, thank you so much for joining me today, and thanks for watching.